I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. Zambia police unfair towards the opposition United Party for National Development during campaign, observes CCMG. Zambians remember second Republican President FREDRICK CHILUBA as messages of condolences keep pouring in for KK. Political parties urges to disarm their CADRES. And in international news, violence in Ethiopia threatens to tear country apart. And in sports, AFCON winner KANGWA pens a 2-year extension at Arsenal. Join me with the main news in detail after this commercial.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kapalonga Road, Lusaka.
And now the main news in detail. Ministration of the Word have called for justice to prevail in the matter where former Zambian Republican President Dr. FREDRICK CHILUBA was accused of committing multiple crimes, which the Supreme Court acquitted him. Apostle Daniel Chimunza says it is unfair for the state to continue holding on to Dr. Chiluba's properties when the highest court of the land found him not guilty of all charges. Meanwhile, Zambia's Vice President Inongawina has urged the young generation to teach lessons from the hard work that President Chiluba exhibited to service of the country. The duo was speaking on Friday during the commemoration of the 10th memorial anniversary of second Republican President Dr. Chiluba.
18th June 2011, Zambia lost a gallant soldier who fought to ensure democracy became a reality in Zambia by introducing multipartyism. Known as the father of democracy, Dr. FREDRICK CHILUBA has been described by many as a visionary leader. And 18th June 2021, Zambia has commemorated the 10th memorial in honor of the late second Republican president. Attended by stakeholders, members of the family, ministration of the Word represented by Apostle Daniel Chimunza have demanded that justice prevails in the matter in which the second Republican president was acquitted of all the charges he was accused of. Apostle Chimunza wants the family of the late President Chiluba to benefit from the labor of their father.
The spirit of the second Republican president cannot rest in peace unless his family receives the justice. Sometimes as a nation we are paying particular attention to the deceased and we have neglected the living. I want to pose a rebuke that we cannot continue on this path to pretend and have ceremonial events such as this one without really dealing with issues of justice and reconciliation. As a minister, I attend to widows, I attend to orphans, and these orphans now, their father is not here, nobody can speak for them, and only God has been their helper thus far. And I want to challenge the government and I want the Vice President to send this message.
Among other things, FT Memorial Committee Chairperson Yotam Chikamba has demanded that government looks into the 4 wishes that Dr. Chiluba desired to be done as a way of honoring his legacy.
The family and committee has decided that in view of the importance and the achievements of President Chiluba, his memory would rightly be saved by reciting what he intended to embark on in his retirement, namely the FTJ Foundation, the Memorial Library, and the FJT Industrial and Labor Relations Institute.
And Zambia's Vice President Inonge Wina says the role President Chiluba played in declaring Zambia as a Christian nation cannot be taken lightly. He says the country will forever remain grateful to the service Dr. Chiluba offered.
We believed that there would be no meaningful development of the country without the free participation of every citizen. Today, we are enjoying the fruits of his visionary leadership. The liberalization of the economy has brought numerous benefits to the nation and to our people.
And daughter to the late President Veloska Chiluba, who spoke on behalf of the family, said their father was not a perfect person, but that his love and commitment towards his family was unmatched.
The presidency is a lonely and difficult road, and we saw him handle for 10 years. He was privileged to lead the nation with grace, wisdom, and dignity. A position he didn't take lightly or for granted. As it is said, all great men also have great failings. He was judged by many, as we were by extension. But in my heart of hearts, I know he meant well for us as a family, but also for the nation at large.
Family, friends, the Vice President, stakeholders, and many others proceeded to lay their wrath on the graveside of the late President. Indeed, he is the father of democracy. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Zambian citizens have acknowledged that the death of Zambia's first Republican President, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, has served as a lesson on the need for Zambia to honor leaders while they're still alive. Movement for Multi-Party CCMG President Dr. Nevas Mumba has described Dr. Kenneth Kaunda as a true icon who positively interacted with many people before he died. And Zambia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Emmanuel Mwaba, says it is sad that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda will receive his special award from the African Union, recognizing him for his huge contribution to the liberation of Africa and its people posthumously.
I have allowed Smith to come here on a number of occasions in search of peace. But I'm a man with a conscience. God is hearing me. I can never sell to Africa. Never. Not me. Not these boys here. Not these girls here.
Global community mourns first Republican President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who died at Manasoko Military Hospital in Lusaka on the 17th of June 2021. Incidentally, his date of death follows the date of death of Zambia's second Republican President, Dr. FREDRICK Chiluba, whose memorial service was being held on Friday. The death of President KK leaves Rupia Banda as the only surviving former state. Former Zambia's Vice President and leader of the movement for multi-party democracy, Dr. Nevas Mumba, reflected on the late Chiluba's contribution to national governance.
I think what came out today is that Zambia should never mistreat or deny justice to those people that deserve justice. It has been made very clear that since President Chiluba was acquitted, up to this day, his immunity has never been restored, although it is after the fact. But it was removed publicly, and now that he was acquitted by the courts of law, we, as the movement for multi-party democracy, insist that government must publicly restate that immunity on President Chiluba, and all the assets that were taken from him be restored to his family as a way of restitution, reconciliation, and justice.
And on the death of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Dr. Mumba made the following remarks.
He has interacted with almost everybody. Everybody knows who Kenneth Kaunda is. We have benefited greatly from him. But for us as MMD and also as a minister of the gospel, I want to make it clear to Zambia that this thing we talk about President Chiluba declaring Zambia as a Christian nation is only half of what the story is. The one who really ushered Zambia into being a Christian nation is Kenneth Kaunda. He built it on Christian values to the extent that when President Chiluba came, he declared that Zambia was truly a Christian nation. What did he declare? He declared because we were already a Christian nation. If we were not a Christian nation.
In the memorial service, in attendance was Zambia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Emmanuel Mwamba, who also served as the spokesperson for 10 years for the late President Chiluba.
This is in recognition to the contribution that Dr. Chiluba did to this country and to elevate the life and times of our people. And Dr. Chiluba will be remembered as a great statesman, a man that brought democracy, free press, and for human rights in Zambia.
In the meantime, Mr. Mwamba explains that the death of President Kaunda and other former heads of state is an eye-opener on the need to honor the country's icons while they are alive and in death.
Our quest to have him honored paid fruit when on 25th May, Africa Freedom Day, just a few weeks ago, the African Union, on behalf of Africa, honored Dr. Kaunda. I am in this country because I brought that award. I didn't know that that award would now be presented posthumously, but it was awarded when Dr. was alive. His office called me about it and they were very excited. They said the President Kaunda was very excited about the award. What does this teach us? We need to honor our heroes. We need to take them to a place sufficiently.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Zambian DNA spokesperson Mlemwa has described Dr. Kenneth Kaunda as a true leader who greatly contributed to the well-being of Zambians by providing a selfless leadership. Mr. Mlemwa says that Zambian first Republican president will be remembered as a true statesman and patriotic son of the African Revolution. He adds that leaders in the country must learn something from him.
The Zambian DNA celebrates the life of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Zambia's founding father, for his selfless leadership style that put the well-being of the people at the center of his governance system. Dr. Kaunda indeed will forever be remembered for being a true statesman and a patriotic son of the African Revolution.
Christian Churches Monitoring Group CCMG has advised the Electoral Commission of Zambia to reverse its decision to replace political party rallies to road shows. Speaking at a media briefing held in Lusaka on a pre-election environment observation, CCMG member Father Emmanuel Chikoya says road shows are dangerous because they carry COVID-19 virus from one street to the other as opposed to rallies. Meanwhile, Father Chikoya adds that CCMG has also observed that the Zambian police have not been fairly applying the law towards the opposition United Party for National Development UPND, which has limited their campaign space.
Christian Church Monitoring Group CCMG has been undertaking a pre-election environment observation to ensure that all political parties get a fair share of participation in this year's general elections. But according to some of the observations made by the Council, police conduct, especially towards the opposition United National Development UPND, has been condemned as it has attributed to the limiting campaign space for the opposition as well as unleveled political playing field. CCMG board member Emmanuel Chikoya says the police have a primary responsibility to protect and promote human rights and should not in any way be the ones violating the law.
Police conduct. CCMG noted several troubling aspects of police conduct during this election period under review. From the time the campaign period began until the announcement of the suspension of mass rallies, CCMG observers reported 7 political party meetings that that were prevented or stopped by police, citing COVID-19 measures. This action disproportionately affected UPND, with 6 out of 7 instances recorded. We believe that the police have a primary responsibility to protect and promote human rights and should not in any way be the ones violating them.
The council has also recommended that political rallies be reinstated as opposed to the current road shows, which they believe have been spreading COVID-19 from one street to the other.
The road shows that were allowed were actually dangerous because they carried the virus from one street to the other. After the ban on rallies and road shows is lifted, CCMG proposes a return to the rallies rather than door-to-door and road shows. We further urge all political parties, when campaigns resume, to conduct their activities in a manner that does not pose threats to public health as it relates to the spread of COVID-19.
The council is also concerned with the unbalanced media coverage of the candidates contrary to the provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct. Several instances of unbalanced media coverage of candidates by public media were observed and highlighted in the Mr. Zambia Media Monitoring Report.
Media coverage of candidates by public media were observed, highlighted in the Mr. Zambia Media Monitoring Report. On 10th June, the Ndola High Court directed ETHIOPIA to prescribe the amount of airtime in public media to be acting parties. As the campaign period has already begun, CCMG calls on the ECZ to urgently abide by the court order and engage the public media to allocate equal access to public media by all parties and candidates.
The council is also concerned about politically motivated violence which have mainly been purported by the UPND and P, but that no action has been taken by the police, despite them knowing who the culprits have been. However, inappropriate use of government resources is among the many observations made by the council, who have since called on government as well as the PF to end the use of government resources and personnel for party purposes.
CCMG therefore calls on both government officials as well as the PF to end immediately the use of government resources and personnel for party purposes and to discipline party or government officials who violate the Electoral Code of Conduct in this manner.
And traditional and church leaders have been challenged to stop using their positions to persuade masses by endorsing political candidatures of their choice. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Disability Rights Watch National Coordinator Bruce Choma urged political parties to disarm their militant groups in order to curtail political violence. He observed with concern that the violence that has been witnessed in the country may lead to voter apathy. Speaking to Camnet TV News, Mr. Choma explains that violence discourages electorates from turning up to vote, adding that persons with cross-cutting disabilities are the worst affected. He explains that persons with disabilities have no capacity to free from violence, hence they would opt to stay away from the electoral process for their safety.
Voting is an important part of the political process in democracy. The fact that many people do not vote can be confusing to observers. The question would be asked as to why one would choose not to vote. In the year 2016, out of about 6.6 million people who were registered as voters, only 3.7 million turn out to vote. Violence is among contributing factors as to why vulnerable groups such as persons with disabilities and women would opt to stay away from voting in fear of being caught up in the fracas. For instance, this man I caught up with in Kalumbia district is in need of a wheelchair. It is difficult for him to move from one place to the other, and if the political environment is hostile, how can he exercise his right to vote?
Please, just begging or asking anyone to help for wheelchair. I'm finding it difficult in movements. You may find I would like to move from one place to another. Now, challenge.
Bruce Choma is the Disability Rights Watch National Coordinator.
21 general elections would be an opportunity for for us as a country to demonstrate a level of maturity in the conduct of elections. We have seen a number of people with disabilities now who have put themselves up for election in this year's election, which is a commendable thing because it's showing us that democracy is maturing. But with the advent of violence that continues to escalate, it again takes away from those gains because it is going to make it hard for instance, like Dr. Thomas Mutonga in Chasefu, who is visually impaired, to campaign freely because they might not know what the other camp might be planning in terms of violence. And that might be difficult for individuals like himself to defend themselves or run away.
He says political parties must be decided in order to create a favorable political environment.
They are again a reminder of the many barriers that people with disabilities face in participating in politics in the country. There's a huge concern for that violence continues to happen in the political environment. This discourages them from exercising their rights not only as voters but also as candidates. It is concerning that people with disabilities now cannot be able to come out and listen to messages because of political violence. Therefore, it means they will not be able to make an informed decision as they move on that day to cast their ballot because they will not have a chance to receive messages owing to the violence that has characterized politics. It is important, and we commend the ECZ for taking decisive action to begin to curb political violence, but we think it's also the responsibility of the political parties to ensure that the militant groups they have are disarmed and allow for citizens to freely receive messages in a peaceful manner.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
People's Alliance for Change Park presidential running mate Gerald Mulao says investment in the agriculture sector is key to addressing poverty and underemployment levels in the country. Speaking in Eastern Province, Mr. Mulao adds that forming agriculture cooperatives will play a role in opening up industries that can help end the high unemployment levels in the province, as the only way to ensure that the agriculture sector develops massively.
80% bantu basu mu Eastern Province banalemerera ku bulimi kapena so boma yose yamene iganizira abantu mankalijo y'abantu muno mu Eastern Province ifuniko faka nzeru kutani ku bulimi ni province ya Chitabwanji yatukuka manja ulimi tinawo Chitabwanji chikamba kuti ulimi wasopano tikapea na kwa mene tachoka enda pasogoro enda pasi mwana sapamina anabwerera pa president tezotola ingani fertilizer 8 bag nanga mtengo wa fertilizer during mwana wasa ngati suli pa fisi bwezi zingati za affordable hapa manje tienda kuli 900 kwacha saka imozi ya fertilizer so muzagulisa masaka ngati ma 50 kg pa mtengo wa FRA 150 mwende mugulesa mozi ya D ngati fisi zakwanisa kuisakira 900 kwenda kula saka imozi ya
The Community magazine has expressed disappointment that the famous illicit alcohol commonly known as cachasu is being sold in public bus stations. A recent check by Camnet TV revealed that some various illicit alcohol brands are being sold at the bus stations. The Commuter magazine leader Liswaniso Mwananchi has since called on the Lusaka City Council to address the issue as it may lead to negative social ills in society. He says alcohol abuse remains one among the leading causes of mental illness, especially in the wake of COVID-19, as some people are resorting to substance abuse due to loss of livelihood.
Council bylaws stipulate how alcohol is supposed to be sold in town. So what we have seen now is that alcohol is being sold openly at places like Kulima Tower, places near Millennium. Basically, almost every bus station, there is a place where they are selling illicit alcohol. So if the council doesn't come in and stop this vice, it will have an impact on those people who consume it, not only at the bus stations, but even in the surrounding communities. So if people drink this alcohol on an empty stomach, we know the results. If people continue abusing alcohol and then as a nation expecting that the HIV levels will go down, we are lying to ourselves, because when a person is drunk, their thinking capacity is disturbed. So that's a mental health issue already on its own. Appealing to our councils countrywide to help banning the selling of alcohol in the streets of Lusaka, bus stations and markets. We are aware that the law hasn't changed, but we wonder why alcohol is still sold at markets and bus stations. So the bottom line is for councils to stand up and intervene in this matter.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this. Stay tuned.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda Electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
President Edgar Chagwa and the Patriotic Front have transformed the transportation sector by facilitating the construction of bus stations around the country. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that brought you change.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. Are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981. Or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine. 2021 has been described as a highly politically charged year. This is because every 5 years the country goes to the polls, and that 5 years elapses. With only a few months remaining down to the ballot, the battlefield to appear on the ballot is becoming fertile. A lot of people are expressing interest of appearing on the ballot.
In all this, our aim is to put the duty bearers, the leaders, and those aspiring to task by asking the relevant questions.
If you're an aspiring candidate, be it councillor, mayor, or member of parliament, get in touch with us to get yourself on the verdict.
We go beyond speculation in dealing with policy and governance issues. The right questions are asked to help you make a verdict.
For more details, you can call us on 0962 965883, 0979 753010, or email us info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Camnet TV
every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 7:45 hours
on a new program, Tapped the Verdict.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel. Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the main news. Some residents of Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound have called on the government to address the sluggish economic problems that the country is facing. Lax Mwanza Welder has told Camnet TV News that the sluggish economic the sluggish economy has greatly affected his business as the materials he uses continue to become expensive each and every day. Mr. Simwanza lamented that he is now forced to sell the products that he makes at a lower price in order to sustain his livelihood.
The economic climate heavily impacts businesses of all sizes, but it's usually the smaller enterprises that feel quickly than larger corporations. With a sluggish economy, many small-scale businesses in Lusaka continue to face challenges which has affected their business in several different ways. Some residents spoken to by Camnet TV in Kaligalinga compound complain of how the performance of the economy has affected business.
Business here, the apartment couple, city step, because one $20 every time, put every day. So that is that Namuko to endure the like my materials here to us. $1. So pressure to in my customers. Because I come spray you put into video. So but if it do. So next check on current sheet. Because I'm boyo pakula vin. So for my customers are going to boy pakule vin to patpayo pametenga.
Complaints of how the material he uses have become expensive, double the price he used to purchase the same materials a year ago.
I was using my flat sheets and square tubes. So my flat sheets, my days ya kumbuya. So good, that is 250, 350. But now my sheet 850, 1,000 on
flat sheet. And
flat sheet. Then my square tube, my 50 by 50, and the agula 150. Right now on 450. Manja tuzaenda kuti. Same na no. Get monga ijai. Nga sama ngwa 55 pin. Zakwela ukusema ngwa 8 pin. Sasa kuna ka 3 pin profit. Upasie kwa pazi yako. At least usarako. But now ukangene samu ati for example pamanya ni ma 10 pin. Zapanga get ya 10 pin. Uti uiguli so dai paka kapati. Kana bantu ya toa. Badafuna ya mungu kudala.
He has since called on the government to look upon the issue. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some residents of Solwezi district have complained of the poor sanitation levels at Kamasala market. The traders are saddened that the market has been running without toilets and water for so many years now. They told Camnet TV News that their call to the authorities over the matter has not yielded any positive results. They have reminded Solwezi Municipal Council to help them address the situation, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Masara area, the market is big, but we are operating without toilet. So we are asking the government to come and help us.
Muki Masara market, katu jipo ma toilets ne, vitala vyaonaika, kabiji development kafako, toloke avantangi bakutajira tweba, ate mayuti. Kuna kuyuga kwa mama, pote mara pote kera pawam, mizi, ikare ya rondoroka, katorokara vantu, vatamichima ine.
In other news, government has announced that 1,800 doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine are expected in the country next week. In a statement, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Dr. Malama, his government has further submitted all the requirements and COVAX for the expected AstraZeneca doses. Malama adds that government through the Ministry of Finance funds to procure at least 3 million doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine through the African Vaccination Trust, AVAT. And the Permanent Secretary that government is encouraged by the increased show of solidarity from various stakeholders following the directives by President Edgar Lungu for the country to stem further transmission of COVID-19. Meanwhile, the country has in the last 24 hours recorded 29 COVID-19 deaths with age ranging from 28 to 96, and 2,913 new confirmed COVID-19 cases have been recorded in the last 24 hours. Dr. Malema has encouraged the public to continue observing the 5 golden rules to stop the spread of the pandemic. Kabulonga Boys Secondary School Parents Teachers Committee Chairperson Barkley Mwaba has urged parents to utilize this period and educate their children. In an interview with Camnet TV News, Mr. Mwaba says parents have the mandate to educate their children rather than leaving all the burden on teachers. He has, however, thanked the Kabulonga Boys School management for creating an e-learning platform to allow learners to interact and learn from their teachers during the 21 days school suspension. Mr. Mwaba says the school has also put into consideration those pupils who do not have access to smartphone or internet facilities by providing school papers that will be distributed among the learners. He adds that this is one way they will keep the pupils updated with the school calendar.
Some of the interventions that have been put in place are an e-learning platform that has already been established by the school. It's actually operational as we speak. And on this platform, learners can access their teachers and be able to ask questions and also access material that has been given to them and that has been prepared by the teachers in the various subjects. So we believe that in this new normal, the challenge we have is that without personal or physical interaction, or that being very limited, we have to use the technological platforms that are available to us. And that's why, as the Committee for Parents and Teachers, we're very proud of what the management of the school has done. So that is one of the interventions that is there, and we believe that many other schools should use that, because we cannot sit back and just let children have all this time away from the materials that they need to make the desired progress. While we're concerned about their health, we should be even more concerned about their progress. We understand that not everybody, not all the pupils or the learners' parents can access social media for various reasons. Others may not have smartphones, and others may not have access to the particular gadgets or devices like laptops and computers. So we also have a mechanism where physical or material will be printed in pamphlets and be availed to the parents so that they can come through the school and collect that material.
The Secretary to the Treasury, Fred Sonyamba, has announced that government has, between January and May 2021, collected a total revenue and grant amounting to 40.1 billion kwacha. Mr. Yamba says the increased revenue collection was mainly driven by positive performance of income tax, VAT, customs and excise duties, and insurance premium. He states that the 40.1 billion kwacha is an impressive 43% above projection of 28.0 billion kwacha for the same period. Mr. Yamba further says government has also accessed financing worth 7 billion kwacha and resources amounting to about 582.2 million kwacha from cooperating partners. Meanwhile, government released a total of 49.7 billion kwacha for developmental programs and public service delivery for the same period. Mr. Yamba says the release of funds to recipient ministries, provinces and agencies came against a backdrop of competing demands. The Secretary to the Treasury will continue to monitor and evaluate the implementation of fiscal consolidation measures to ensure that ministries, provinces and agencies adhere to prudent application of resources. Well, we take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
I was born in Mwengwa in a grass-thatched house. I went to school barefoot and then to secondary school, university camp, all of these on government bursary, on the sponsorship of the people of Zambia. Many people ask me questions. Why have you continued to seek public office? You've been arrested 15 times. This fight is not about Hakainde. It's about 18 million Zambians who want a better life. I'm standing for the presidency of this country because I know and I believe that this country is so rich and yet its people live in poverty. I am standing for that child to have an opportunity to go to school the way I did myself. It's time for change. Zambians have suffered enough. I'm Hakainde Hichilema. I invite you to take my hand. Together, we will build a better land for every Zambian.
Kumbula International Airport, located just 15 kilometers from the Victoria Falls, is now one of the best and busiest airports that Zambia has. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date: 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges: 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time: 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time: 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kabulonga Road, Lusaka.
Welcome back. We now get into our international item. Many people have fled Ethiopia in recent months. In the region of Tigray, thousands have been killed during a military operation to capture fugitive local leaders. Ethnic conflicts have also led to the deaths of hundreds in other areas. The nation goes to the polls next week in the backdrop of this violence. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera also reports that the U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a challenge to the Affordable Care Act, widely known as Obamacare. The judges ruled 7-2, rejecting a Republican effort to repeal it.
Farah Roble has just been brought to the emergency unit of the city's zonal hospital in Biki town. He was shot in the stomach by militiamen from the neighboring Afar region. Herdsmen from the Somali and Afar tribes have been fighting for the past 3 years following a dispute over land.
Hundreds of heavily armed Afar gunmen attacked our village. They were brought in vehicles and were shooting everyone in sight. They took over our village. I saw at least 10 dead and about 20 others injured before I was injured.
Most of those injured in clashes with Afar militias end up in this hospital. The trauma ward is full of patients wounded in the near daily clashes at the border.
Medical workers at the Biki hospital say they are overwhelmed by the big number of patients arriving with gunshot wounds. They say they have been forced to move those stable enough to move to the corridors of the hospital to create more space for the critically injured.
Some of these young men have been discharged from the hospital, but with their land firmly in the grip of their opponents, they have chosen to stay.
I have no home to go back to. Our homes were burned by the raiders and our cattle and camels have been taken away. I really don't feel I am Ethiopian anymore, but if the government believes I have any rights in this country, it should stop the conflict. This would help us return to our land.
Clashes between the Afar and Somali tribesmen were first triggered by a decision by the federal government to hand over 3 Somali inhabited districts to Afar regional state. Since then, the conflict has only intensified. Afar rights activists also blame Somali clans who depend on a nomadic way of life for raiding Afar-owned grazing lands while aided by Somali regional special forces, accusations Somali officials frequently deny. Ethnic-based violence in Ethiopia is not just limited to the Afar and Somali regions. In the Benishangul Gumuz region, conflict between tribes have left hundreds dead in recent months. In the Oromo region of Ethiopia, hundreds of unarmed civilians have been massacred and thousands displaced after Oromo politicians allegedly coordinated attacks on tribes in the Welega area with an armed wing of a rebel group in the region. In the foothills where the highlands of Ethiopia meet the vast plains of the Somali region, the scale of the suffering caused by Ethiopia's recurring ethnic violence is laid bare. Here, 98,000 ethnic Somalis displaced by conflict in the Oromia region have set up camp. Residents of the Koloji camp are mainly made up of farmers and businessmen, some of whom were uprooted by attacks 3 years ago. Others have joined the camp more recently.
I had everything I needed before the conflict. I had a booming business and coffee farms. I've lost everything and now I have nothing to give my 12 children.
Officials of the Somali regional administration say while they've done everything they could to improve conditions at the camp, more assistance is needed.
We have established schools for the IDPs and helped wherever we could, but our resources are limited. We appeal to donors to help resettle these people so they can go back to their own independent lives.
For now, Ethiopia continues to face a growing crisis of ethnic nationalism that some fear could tear Africa's second most populous country apart. Many hope the elections next week will bring them some respite. Until then, Ethiopia continues to be at a crossroads.
It was the third challenge and the third time the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Obamacare, a milestone that the law's namesake, former President Barack Obama, greeted by tweeting, "The Affordable Care Act is here to stay." The moment comes 11 years after Obama, backed by then Vice President Joe Biden, signed the Affordable Care Act into law.
Today, after all the votes have been tallied, health insurance reform becomes law in the United States of America.
But marred by a flawed rollout and relentless attacks from conservatives, the law, derisively nicknamed Obamacare by Republicans, soon became a cultural flashpoint. Donald Trump's rise to the White House in 2016 was partly fueled by the country's divisions surrounding Obamacare. But even as Republicans campaigned against the health care law, Americans began signing up in droves, reaching 31 million enrollees amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think having a pandemic like COVID meant that you had an economic downturn at the same time that you had a large health catastrophe. And the proof is in the pudding, right? In that the people losing their jobs, facing decreases in their salary, but also needing health care, were able to get the care they needed through insurance coverage. And I think that's a positive.
Justice Stephen Breyer, a liberal, wrote the Supreme Court's majority opinion released Thursday. Chief Justice John Roberts and 3 conservatives, including 2 Trump appointees, sided with the liberals, delivering the 7-2 ruling that Texas lacks standing to bring the suit. President Joe Biden called it a big win for the American people. The Supreme Court did not decide broader legal issues raised by the case about whether the Affordable Care Act remains constitutional after Congress struck down a key provision of the law in 2012. That means while the justices preserved health care once again for millions of Americans, they did not rule out hearing future challenges to Obamacare. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera, Washington.
You're still watching Camnet TV's main news. Let's get into your sports item. Zambian striker KANGWA has signed a new contract with Russian Arsenal Tula for 2 football seasons, the ZAMFoot crew can exclusively reveal. KANGWA, who was excused from Micha's squad for June FIFA window-friendly matches, signed the deal in Russian city Tula through his agent Nia Karin. Karin has been KANGWA's agent for the last 8 years, and he also represents winger Lamek Banda and Kings KANGWA, who are all on the books of the Arsenal Tula through Banda, though Banda spent last season on loan at the Israel side Maccabi Netanya. The striker has expressed happiness to renew his stay in Tula and thanked his agent for being with him since his time at Nkana. Arsenal Tula will go to pre-season camp in Australia next week before the start their 2021-2022 season campaign. Last season, KANGWA scored 5 goals and assisted 4 more. The new campaign will be his 5th season with the Russian Premier League outfit. Before moving to Russia, KANGWA was in Turkish and Israel leagues, making him one of the longest-serving Zambian footballer in Europe at club level. On the international scene, the 28-year-old made his Zambia debut in 2021 and was part of the CAF 2012 African Cup of Nations winning squad. Recently, he captained Zambia in the Cameroon 2020 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. He has gone on to make 16 appearances for Zambia with a return of 3 goals. He also owns a lower-tier football club, Shamuel. The story is a courtesy of ZAMFoot Sports. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news. But before we go, here are the headlines once again. Zambia police unfair towards the opposition United Party for National Development during campaigns, observes CCMG. Zambians remember second Republican President FREDRICK CHILUBA as messages of condolences keep pouring in for KK. Political parties urged to disarm their cadres. In international news, violence in Ethiopia threatens to tear country apart. And in sports, AFCON winner KANGWA pens 2-year extension at Arsenal. Before we go, here's a Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from Galatians 5 verse 13 to 14, and it reads, "For you were called to be free. Brothers, only don't use this freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but serve one another through love. For the entire law is fulfilled in one statement, love your neighbor as yourself." Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Remember to always mask up, always avoid crowded places, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds or use Alcohol Best hand sanitizer. Stay safe and be blessed. Continue watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Please unpeeling.